Evening hi-fi fans. So I'm back tonight with another one of the wanted list videos, but this one is different to the other ones because this one is high-end gear that I am after. So there is not many on this list today, and I do know that if I'm going to get hold of anything off of today's list, it is going to cost me a load of money. But I have got money to spend because my mum gave me some money for Christmas to buy an amplifier for the channel, and I have not spent that yet. Now, it wasn't loads of money, but it was a little bit. So when she gave it to me, I said to my missus, oh, it'd be nice to put some money with this and get something really nice to keep forever. And my missus agreed. So what I did was I opened a little separate savings account and we put my mum's money in there, and then since opening it, every week me and my missus have been transferring £5 each a week into that account. But some weeks when we haven't been out or anything like that, we haven't had no takeaways or nothing, we've been putting £10 each into that account. And bless him, now and again James has been going, give us some account details, I'm in this week. So he's been putting money in the account as well. So the first week when James said, come on, give us some account details, I'm in this week, I said to him, James, why do you want to put money into my amp savings pot? He went, come on, it's been great since you've been doing the channel, buying all these amps and that. He said, I love coming round here. He said, I'm happy to put some money in and then we'll get some really good stuff to play around with. And then he went, and I have been borrowing a lot of gear as well, innit? He said, I love taking stuff home for the week and playing around with it. He said, I don't need to buy any hi-fi gear anymore, I'll just borrow yours. So I am more than happy to chuck some money into the pot and then we get some really high-end gear for me to borrow. So yeah, bless him, James has been putting money in the pot as well, so the old pot has got a few quid in it now, and we will keep going with that pot. Me and the missus will keep adding £5 each a week to it, and James will probably put a little bit in there now and again. And as I am not made of money, I am not a rich man, it's like a good way of doing it, because we can save a little bit like that every week and then get some really good stuff for the channel. Well, no, I'm going to rephrase that. Not for the channel. For me, my missus and James to play around with and enjoy. And I'm not saying that I haven't already got some really nice stuff, because I have. But I haven't done much money on anything yet. Everything I've bought, everything on this table, I've not paid much for. Apart from that Pioneer SX750. I do not know how much that cost, because my missus bought me that for Christmas, and I would imagine she paid a fair bit of money for that one. But everything else I've got quite cheap, because stuff like this you can get cheap. If you keep hunting on eBay, cheeky little bids, you can get stuff like this, especially if it's not working, because people don't bid on it. But when you're talking about that higher end gear that's a little bit rarer and doesn't come up on eBay so much, you're not getting that stuff cheap. If you want that stuff, you got to pay for it, because everyone else is going after it. So like I said, there is only a few things on my list today, and some of you probably watch this and think that stuff on his list is not high end. He don't know what he's talking about. High end stuff is like £5 worth. Well, this stuff on my list today might not be high end to you, but to me it is. Everything on this list, to me, is high-end. And for me, as I'm not made of money, everything on this list today will be a really big amount of money for me to spend on an amp or a receiver. So let's crack on with my list. And this list today, one of these will be the first one that I'm going to buy. And remember that the first one I'm going to buy will sort of be with my mum's Christmas money. So I want to get something really nice first that I can keep forever. So let's crack on. Number one on my list, I am looking for Harmon Kardon, either a 630 or a 730, or I can only dream, but if one did come up, I would try and get a 930. I'd love a 930. And I am talking about the vintage Harmon Kardons, the twin powered ones. The HK 630 or the 730, or in my dreams the 930, but I do think that 930 might be a little bit out of my price range now, because I've seen a few of them for sale lately and they seem to command ridiculous money, and I really don't want to spend that much on an amp or a receiver. So in the real world, I'm more likely looking at the HK 630. I think that will be the one that I'm going to try and get my hands on, because they still make a fair bit of money, but I think I might be able to stretch to a broken one of them that needs repair. And it would be lovely to get hold of one of them Harmon Kardons, because they are fantastic sounding old receivers. And I've had them before, them Harmon Kardons, back in the day when no one wanted them, and them little Harmon Kardons were not worth anything. But them days are gone, because now everybody wants them, because everyone knows how good them old Harmon Kardons are. And that's why I've put it on the list, because I know how good they are. So I know if I get my hands on one of them, it goes without saying I will want to keep it forever. Right, so next up I'm going for something that I really love, and I've had them before and really regret selling them, and that is a Sansui G series. Now I want to try and get a bigger one than the 2000. I've had quite a few 2000s, so I'd like to get a bigger one. I'd like to get a 3000, maybe a 4, maybe a 5. I don't think I can go above that, because they make ridiculous money when you go above that. But I think a 3000 or a 4000 might be within my price range. Maybe I could get really lucky and get a 5, but that would be being lucky, because that 5 still does make a load of money. So I'm keeping things realistic and really looking at the 3000 or the 4000. Either one of them would do me, because they are both really decent receivers. They're lovely, the G series Sansuis, they really are. And they are quite rare compared to the other decent models of Sansui, and I think that adds a bit to why they make so much money. There is not that many of the G series out there. So that's why the G series is on my list, because they are pretty rare and they are really lovely receivers to own, and I would really like to put one back into my collection. So next up is one that has shocked me a little bit lately. When I've been looking these ones up, seeing the prices of them, I've been shocked by what these make, because years ago they always made a bit of money, but not like they do at the minute. These things have rocketed lately, and that is the Yamaha CR range. Now I was sort of thinking I might get a CR 800 or maybe even 1000, but when I've started looking up about them, that 1,000 is so far out of my price range. I'm not looking at that one. I am looking at a 600 or an 800. Now, both of these are really decent receivers. I'd love to get that 800. That 800 is a fantastic receiver. But the 600 would do me, and the 600 does still command a fair bit of money. And I do want the 600. I don't really want the 620 or the 640. Although they are both still really good receivers, there's something about this 00 series that I really like. So I want like a 600, or if I can find one not working at the right money, the 800, because both that 600 and that 800 are fantastic receivers. Now, I'd love to get that 1,000, because that 1,000 is a monster. But having looked on the computer lately at the sort of money people are asking for that CR1000, I think that has just gone out of my price range now. So really, I'm going to be hunting for the 600, but if an 800 comes up at the right price, I will be all over it. Right, so next up is a Marantz. Now, I've been doing my homework on these Marantz because I've been looking to try and get one for a little while. And from studying prices and that lately, seeing what things make and that, there is two Marantz that I'm trying to go after. There is two that I think are really decent, and if I can find one not working, they won't make a ridiculous amount of money, so I will be able to get hold of one. And the first one is a 2225. Now, I really rate this one. It is a really decent sounding Marantz, and it's got a ton of power and bass behind it, this thing. And from looking at prices and that on the computer, I think this one is still quite reasonable. Well, it's not reasonable, is it? It's so overpriced, it is unreal, but it's reasonable for a Marantz. Because we all want them, don't we? We all love them. So if you buy a Marantz, you've got to pay that Marantz tax on top. And I love them enough to pay that Marantz tax, because you've got to. You're not getting a cheap, nice Marantz, are you? It's just not happening. So I'm going to try and get one of these. And the other one I'm after is the 2226. Which is very similar to the 2225. There is only a few tiny differences. So either one of them two I will be trying to get my hands on, because I do think it's one of the ones that is still affordable, because when you start going up in them really big numbers, they're just so much money, it is ridiculous. But this 2225 and 2226 still do look kind of affordable. I do even like the smaller ones, like the 2215 and stuff like that. But that little baby one seems to make a similar sort of money to this bigger one. And as good as that little one is, it hasn't got a punch like these two have. So that's why I'm going to go after one of these two. And once I've got one of these, I might go after that little baby one a bit further down the line, because I do really like that little baby Marantz. But first off, I'm going to try and get hold of one of these two. And the other thing with these two is, I do think these are kind of the more common Marantz. You see these two all the time. I think that's why the prices on these two are a bit more reasonable. No, not reasonable, that's not the word I was looking for. A bit less extortionate. Yeah, that sounds better. So the prices on these two are a bit less extortionate than the other models. Yeah, that sounds better. I'm only joking on that one. You get what you pay for, don't you? And if you want to sit indoors looking at one of these lovely Marantz and cranking your tunes up a little bit, you got to get your money out. See, I told you this is a very short list, and you have to think that I'm spending my mum's Christmas money on this first one, so I've been really critical about what I'm going to try and buy first, because I want something that's really decent, and I want something that I know I'm going to be really happy with and keep forever. So thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button and I shall see you next time.